Hi everyone, I'm Tanaaz from foreverconscious.com and this is your weekly energy forecast for the week of September 7th. So September 7th, we start off our week with the blood moon eclipse in the sign of Pisces. I want you to take a minute and think back to what was happening in March of this year. In March, we had a blood moon eclipse in Virgo. Now we're having another blood moon eclipse and it's happening in Pisces. Blood moon eclipses represent deep points of transformation. They represent points in our lives where we just cannot continue the way we have been. Something comes to a head, something comes to a culmination point. Blood moon eclipses tend to happen in a series of 3. So we had one in March, we've got one now in September, and then the next one will be March of next year. So we're dealing with the middle of this series of 3 blood moon eclipses. We also have it falling in the sign of Pisces, which is a very emotional, sensitive, soft place for the moon to land. So I really feel, if you haven't felt it already, there's a lot of feelings, emotions coming up under this blood moon. This blood moon is really asking us to go deep into the well of emotion, deep into those feelings of shame, denial, regret, all those painful emotions that we tend to squash and push down or ignore, or we don't want to look at it because it's too painful. This blood moon is calling for us to confront all of that, to look at all of that, to sit with what we find there, the painful realizations, the painful emotions. And it's interesting because when we sit with these pains, when we sit with these traumas, it can be very, very scary at first. But if we remember to breathe through it, if we remember that we're safe in our bodies, we tend to be able to reach a breakthrough point. And that's really what I want all of us to be able to take away from this blood moon eclipse. That yes, it's emotional. Yes, there's some intensity, but there's a breakthrough on the other side of that. So because it's falling in this sensitive sign of Pisces, and Pisces tends to deal with the, non-tangible, I really think this is going to be a good week for us to focus on our emotional space, just being really gentle with ourselves, really going with the flow of what we feel and what we need, coming back to the breath, doing things that really prioritize our emotional health, and recognizing our sensitivities and trying not to feel overwhelmed by them, but just trying to hold space for them. Pisces is also a very intuitive sign. So whatever's coming up for us as well, leaning into our intuition, which can be really hard to do when our emotional space is so strong because it can kind of overshadow everything, but really trying to give our emotions a healthy outlet, really trying to give our feeling space the room to breathe. Sometimes journaling can really help, talking things through with a friend, doing some meditation, trying to calm our mind, trying to get to a point of stillness. And then, like I said, sitting with the emotion, allowing it to bubble up, knowing that you're safe, and allowing the emotion to kind of come up and out rather than to suppress it. So there's some really deep energy to attach to this blood moon eclipse. And I'm sure I don't even need to tell you that. I'm sure you're already feeling some intensity. Blood moon eclipses tend to bring culmination points or ending points. So we may also be experiencing that. Something may be eclipsed or, removed from our lives. And even though it can be difficult and confronting, we have to remember that eclipses are really powerful. They're kind of like they're karmic events that equalize things for us. So they kind of put us where we need to be before we even realize that that's where we need to be. And we may not like it, it might be painful, but they try to bring some element of trust that eclipses land us where we need to be. So the energy of the eclipse is really dominating our cosmic airways this week. Blood moon eclipses, because they're so powerful, we tend to feel them for about a month. But of course, the week before and the week after, they're at their strongest. They're in their most intense period. And when we move through after this eclipse has passed and when we're on the other side of it, that also becomes a time, a bridge, like we're walking a bridge, a time in between the next eclipse, which there's a solar eclipse happening at the end of the month. And that will kind of bring an end to some of that blood moon eclipse intensity, and we'll move into that solar eclipse frequency. And then, like I said, come March of next year, we have another blood moon eclipse. So we're working with a sort of a bit of a bigger cycle, but probably by the 7th of November, early November, we'll be feeling a little bit more at ease. These intense emotions and intense experiences will have settled. We may even have some clarity, and we'll be feeling a little bit more stable with where we're at. I also want to say that Mercury is very active. Speaking of clarity, Mercury is very active under this blood moon eclipse, and I kind of like that. I feel Mercury will bring some clarity, will bring some understanding, will bring some heightened intuition for us, will help us, think of Mercury as the messenger of the gods, will help us receive and understand and interpret the information we're receiving. So I think that is going to be something helpful. And Lilith, Black Moon Lilith, is also really strong, and she represents a little bit of rebellion. So maybe we need to really stand up for ourselves. Maybe we really need to rebel against the old ways and push our way forward. Maybe we need to find a little bit of rebellious energy to move through whatever's coming up for us. Maybe we don't have to follow the rules. Maybe it's time for the rules to be changed. And Black Moon Lilith is really offering that emancipation from the rules and boundaries and things that we have imposed on ourselves, or that we have been limiting ourselves with. There's a breakthrough here, and Black Moon Lilith is helping us to tap into a little bit of our rebellious nature. Maybe you've always said yes, you've always been good about doing XYZ. Well, maybe you're done with it. Maybe you just don't want to deal with it anymore. However that energy comes up for you, remember you've got that Black Moon Lilith on your side. She champions us to really step into our power, into our authenticity, to not allow ourselves to be tricked, trampled on, belittled, made to feel small. We're not compared. We're not, made to toe the line. We can stand up for ourselves and the life that we want to lead. So tapping into some of that energy will help us under this blood moon eclipse. So good luck to you all. Whatever you're moving through, know that you are going to land exactly where you need to be. And then I am going to pull a card from my deck, the Cosmic Astrology Oracle, which you can get on Etsy if you would like to have these cards to guide you anytime you like. You can use them for readings. You can use them to learn astrology, whatever you want. But now I'm going to shuffle, and I'm going to set the intention of just getting a guiding card. And actually, there's also a ritual for you up on foreverconscious.com if you want to check out that blood moon eclipse ritual. It's really gentle. It's really simple. It just helps to bring some clarity, maybe some intuition. There's a tarot reading in there as well. If you'd like to do that, I recommend it. I'll put a link in the description box below, but you can find it all at foreverconscious.com. Plus, if you want to dive deeper into the astrology behind this eclipse, I have a forecast up on the website too, so check that out. All right, let's see what card is going to guide us through. Ooh, Antares, the heart of the Scorpion. And I can't help notice there that it's card 4, so we're getting an angel number card. Let's see what energy we can get from this card to guide us through the week. So Antares is the heart of the Scorpion, and it is one of our 4 royal stars. So it's one of our gateways of the universe. There are 4 gateways, and this is one of them. Antares is one of the 4 royal stars, known as the heart of the Scorpion. It can unlock our heart chakra, helping us to connect to the love that we are and the love that we return to. Antares is also believed to be the resting place for souls leaving Earth. Perhaps as these souls are bathed in the heart-centered energies of Antares, they are softly reminded that no matter how they chose to live, they were always loved. Well, isn't that something that we can hold on to as we move through this eclipse energy, which can be intense, which can be guiding us into an ending or a closing of a chapter in our lives, no matter how we chose to live, no matter what's brought us to this point? How can we remind ourselves that we are loved, that we are children of the universe, that we are children of God, and that we are loved. This card is your soft reminder of this too. No matter what you have done or how you have chosen to live, you were born from love and will return to love. This card is a reminder of how loved you are. It guides you to take any pain or suffering you may be feeling and just love yourself through it. Self-love is one of the most powerful things we can offer ourselves. So find the grace and forgiveness to love yourself unconditionally. That can be something that you practice as you're in this deep well of emotion that this eclipse is bringing up for us. How can we just love ourselves unconditionally through whatever's coming up? The answers you seek this week are likely rooted in loving yourself more. That's powerful. You know, sometimes when we're trying to think about what path we can take, you know, we can say, oh, what would you say to someone you love? Like, what would you say to your daughter? If your daughter was in this situation, what would you say to them? If your best friend whom you love so dearly was in this situation, what would you say to them? Sometimes that's a good way to think about what the most loving thing we can do for ourselves is, because sometimes it's easier to love other people and give other people grace than it is ourselves. You may also wish to ask the question, if I truly and unequivocally loved myself, I would. And hopefully you do truly and unequivocally love yourself. So a couple of meanings of this card to take away is forgive yourself, put yourself first, be kinder to yourself, open your heart to love, find the freedom to express your love, allow your pain to guide you to greater love, activate your heart chakra, and know it is safe to love. So that is our card for the week. And I just touching on angel number 444, number 44, this card is, you know, maybe our angels, spirit guides are really with us this week as we're moving through these energies. So leaning on your divine spirit team, if you have a loved one that's passed, if you believe in angels and spirit guides, which I'm sure you do if you're watching my video, maybe not, I don't know, but leaning on that divine support system, even just tuning into the energy of nature, Mother Earth, knowing that you're part of it all, you're part of the divine plan. Okay, I hope you found that helpful. I am Tanaaz from foreverconscious.com. Thank you so much.